Welcome to the morning feed. It is Missing Monday, August the 12th, I think. Yeah, the 12th of 2024. And just to remind everybody, on Mondays, you can use the hashtag on social media, Missing Monday, in order to kind of check out what law enforcement is sharing. There are several departments who do share the hashtag Missing Monday. That's kind of where it came from. And they do that to try and get awareness spread for cases, usually that are not recent, cases that need attention, that they feel that the community could be helpful with information and gathering that information and putting it together to hopefully bring answers to whatever that unsolved issue might be. So you can use that hashtag to search for missing flyers and other information. The FBI uses it at times also, so it's very well known to use that hashtag. So we have 5 cases that we're going to go over. This is going to be a quick recap of these 5 cases and just to basically get their faces out there even more. So up on the screen we have Shaun White, and Shaun White was born on November 6th, 2002. So when he disappeared, all of these cases, by the way, are from 2002. I forgot to mention that. When he was born, or when he was reported missing, he wasn't even a year old. So um, he was born November the 6th, I believe it was. And by December the 8th, he was reported missing. The exact date of his disappearance and the circumstances of what might have happened is still unknown. Almost 22 years later, his disappearance was in December, so we're just a few months away from that. Shaun was with his father, Thurman White, when he disappeared. Thurman did not report his disappearance to law enforcement, and he returned to Shaun's mother's apartment without Shaun, and he claimed that a woman would later bring Shaun back, as if maybe he asked somebody to watch Shaun. When Shaun did not return later, there was an argument between Thurman and Shaun's mother that ended in a violent assault, and Thurman later was sent to prison for that assault. He was also charged with endangering the welfare of a child. There was no evidence of what actually happened to Shaun ever revealed by law enforcement or Thurman. And Shaun is still missing. Now, at the time, Thurman drove a 1989 Chevy GM4 pickup truck, um, Delaware license plate number C48428. At the time, that would have been in 2002. We also have a couple of links below each one of these articles. Some of them lead to the NCMEC, the Charlie Project, Uncovered, FBI press releases, things like that. You can find under each of the articles. We'll have this article that I'm taking this information from off of our website. We'll have it linked in the description. So I hope I'm saying her name right, but Kenande Bennett is from Conway, South Carolina. She was reported missing also in 2002 on September the 29th. Her mother alleged, this is a very, very disheartening story. Her mother alleged that she disappeared at a Kmart in Whiteville, North Carolina. But they could never find any evidence of that. And they never even could see that the child was at the store that day. There was no car seat in the car. The list goes on. There was just no evidence that the child was with them at this Kmart. The evidence did eventually lead to charges, though, against both of the parents. The charges against her father, Kevin Bennett, were not sufficient. They had to drop those charges. His case was dismissed. Her mother, though, Vartasha McCullough White, was convicted. She was sentenced to prison, and she has since been released in 2023. But Kenyande is still missing as well, and if you have information that could assist in finding her, you can call the Conway Police Department at 843-248-1790. You can also call the NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, at 1-800-843-5678. Any of the cases that you see here that we're reporting on today, they all have a case file over at the National Center. So you can use that 1-800 number to report information if you have it on any of these cases. And the little guy in that photo is Brandon Wade. In October of 2002, life was really busy for Brandon and his mother, Paula Wade. They were preparing to move out of state, closer to family, and Paula suddenly and uncharacteristically stopped showing up at work, stopped communicating with family, and disappeared from the apartment that she lived in Valdosta, Georgia. So almost 22 years later, again, in October will be the anniversary of that, and it will be 22 years. Paula and Brandon are still missing. They were both reported missing at the same time. They could not find any trace of either one of them, where they might have gone, nothing. No personal belongings were taken with them. And last year, more people came into the case. The FBI joined the search for Paula and Brandon. Their story was featured internationally on media outlets. And their family still pushes for any media, any help that they can possibly get. Anyone with information on the Wade's disappearance is asked to call the FBI Atlanta field office at 770-216-3000. Now, you can also report a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. And then we have Logan Tucker. This is another really brutal story to hear about. We're going to limit the details we're sharing in this because this is just a recap, so we'll try not to make it too brutal. He is from Woodward, Oklahoma, and people have probably seen his face before. A lot of people have seen Logan's face but don't know his story. So Logan Tucker's disappearance could easily be an example for where the gaps are within our judicial and mental health systems are. Sadly, over 2 decades later, we still routinely get this wrong, and we still see the same types of cases come through the courts and through law enforcement that have the same issues that were present in Logan's case. Logan Tucker disappeared in 2002 in the summer. The exact date is not known. His grandparents reported him missing in July. They weren't able to find any proof that he could be located. I don't think they were. I'm unsure what they were thinking at the time. Might be the case. I'm not sure they were thinking it was as horrific as it was, but perhaps given some of the information. So law enforcement began searching for him, and it became obvious pretty quickly that they had a lot of catching up to do. Because in early as April of 2002, Logan's mother, Catherine Pollard, was exhibiting really disturbing behavior. And Catherine called law enforcement. She claimed that she wanted to hurt her children. Prior to that, Catherine was saying disturbing things about her children all the way back to 1998, at least. For a brief time, just a brief time, her children were removed from the home, and within a few days, they were returned back to Catherine's care. So during the summer of 2002, Catherine made multiple admissions about what happened to Logan. Anytime someone would ask, they would get a slightly different story or maybe a drastically different story. She claimed that social services took him. That story got her by for the most part in the very beginning. And then he was out of state with a family member. When law enforcement would confirm her stories to be lies, she would simply create a new one every time. Oh no, he's with this other family member in this other state. So eventually she was charged, and witness testimony suggests that Logan disappeared sometime around June 23rd, 2002, just days before he was scheduled to be taken to social services at the request of Catherine. Social services were unable to immediately place him, and Catherine was told that she would have to wait like 4 days for him to be placed in a home somewhere within the foster care system. So, just days before she was going to surrender Logan and Logan's brother, Logan disappeared. Now, I don't have this in the article, but I will just quickly add when a lot of witnesses testified in this case, and one of them was her roommate at the time. And I believe that that roommate has helped them narrow down a time frame as to when this may have happened. So June 23rd is the time that they have pinned down to be roughly around the time that they believe he disappeared. Right after Catherine was charged, they did a massive search of the landfill. It did not produce anything that I'm aware of. And eventually, Catherine was convicted. But Logan is still missing. So, Woodward County Sheriff would be the one to call if you have anything that might help. The smallest thing may help. I know they've collected a lot of witness testimony and information through the criminal process of charging his mother. But people may still have information. So 580-256-3264. That would be the number to call if you have information that might be able to help. During the witness testimony, the roommate had some very significant details about what happened on a specific day in June that leads them to believe that June 23rd could be the day. So just keep that in mind. If you might have seen anything, there are a lot of there's a lot of information from the trial itself, as far as her getting a shovel and things like that from borrowing a shovel from someone. So you may have very well seen her somewhere and just didn't realize it, and she may have been up to no good. The next case that we have is Jersey Arnett, and I believe this is our last one. So Jersey Arnett is another disappearance where the child was so young when it happened, still a baby, literally an infant. So the disappearance of Jersey Arnett was over 2 decades ago in August of 2002. Jersey was born in January and was quickly removed from her mother due to mental health concerns. By the summer of that year, Jersey's mother began to make many improvements with caring for her mental health and began to meet the goals that she needed to in order to regain custody of Jersey. She seemed very committed to that. Now, Jersey and her mother were able to spend time together in August, and they were at the home of a family member who was caring for Jersey. After the family briefly left Jersey alone with her mother, they returned. They went out to dinner and they came right back. And when they returned, they were both gone. So a day after their disappearance, law enforcement located the vehicle that Jersey's mother was driving. The car was parked near the Mackinac Bridge, though, in Michigan, and all of their belongings were found inside the vehicle. It's believed that Jersey's mother jumped off that bridge with Jersey. They're both still missing, though. They were never, neither one of them were ever recovered. So if you have information to share with police, the Michigan State Police are handling this case. Maybe you don't have information, but maybe you stumble upon remains. somewhere along the Mackinac. So, two different things to really be looking out for there. Either way, if you happen to discover remains, you'll call law enforcement in your local area and have them come and pick those up. Um, if you have information about the case to share, you would call the Michigan State Police at 906 643 7582. And I'm working on putting together a video about what you should do if you do happen to stumble upon human remains, whether it be skeletal or not. That I'll hopefully be able to release that really soon. It's really important because a lot of people, they don't feel like they know what they're looking at when they stumble upon something. If it happens to be bone, um, people get, they're not very confident in saying, "Oh, I'm going to call law enforcement because I think this is what this is." So we want to put information out there that basically helps people identify that and know and feel confident that when you're out there hiking, when you go to a nature preserve, um, whatever you might do, that you feel confident uh, that you can pick up the phone and call law enforcement and have them come and check it out. A lot of people take this as souvenirs. Um, don't do that. I know it could be intriguing, animal bones and stuff, fossils. A lot of things have been a collector item for people for, you know, since the beginning of time. So I understand that, but at the same time, you want to make sure. But we're going to break it down and help you be able to identify the difference, so you know what's perhaps an animal and perhaps a person. Because we don't want to be taking people as collector items. Those items could be helped. If for any reason you feel that you may have ever taken anything from a nature trail, from being outside in nature somewhere, if you feel you might have taken something that could be human, simply turn it in. No harm, no foul. Just tell them. I didn't realize until I listened to something and, or read something or heard something that made me realize that this could be someone's family. Um, so yeah, you want to make sure that you can identify the difference, especially if you're someone who likes to get out and explore nature. And not even that. You could literally be at the park with your kids and see something nearby that you're not too sure about. So, anyways, that was an added piece there. I didn't mean to talk about that, but I am excited about putting this together for people because I think it's definitely a topic that needs to be well covered, for anybody who likes to get out of their house and do things at times. You could be of great assistance to someone who's been waiting on answers.